Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be diving deep into Stephen Covey's The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Okay.
And specifically, we're going to be looking at Habit 7,
All right.
Sharpen the Saw. So,
Interesting.
when you hear that phrase,
Mm-hmm.
what's the first thing that comes to mind? Sharpening a saw. What does that have to do with personal effectiveness?
Well, it's really a powerful metaphor. In today's world, we're so focused on productivity hacks and, getting things done quicker and faster and faster.
Yeah.
Covey kind of steps back and says, hold on a second. You can't keep pushing and pushing and pushing without taking time to renew yourself.
Right.
It's like trying to cut down a tree with a dull saw.
Oh, yeah.
You'll get there eventually, but it's going to take you a lot longer and a lot more effort.
So it's about working smarter, not harder.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
about recognizing that to be truly effective, we need to invest in ourselves.
Okay.
We need to regularly sharpen the saw. And by that, Covey means we need to attend to 4 key dimensions of our being.
4 dimensions.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Physical, mental, emotional, social, and spiritual.
Okay, now I'm really intrigued. Tell me more about these 4 dimensions.
Yeah, so each of these dimensions plays a critical role in our overall well-being.
Okay.
And just like a car needs all 4 tires properly inflated,
Right.
if even one of these dimensions is neglected, it can create a ripple effect across the others.
Makes sense.
So, you might be able to keep going,
Yeah.
but the journey is going to be a lot bumpier and maybe even impossible.
You know what? That's a great analogy because I can already see how this applies to my own life.
Uh-huh.
There are some days where I feel like I'm just firing on all cylinders.
Right.
And then there are other days where I feel like I'm dragging a flat tire or 2.
Exactly. And that's where understanding these 4 dimensions can be really helpful.
Okay.
So let's break them down.
Yeah, let's start with the physical. What does Covey mean by the physical dimension?
This one is probably the most straightforward.
Okay.
It's all about taking care of our bodies.
Right.
Think exercise, nutrition, sleep. Oh, yeah.
All those things that we know we should be doing.
Mm-hmm.
But let's be honest, sometimes life gets in the way.
Oh, I am definitely guilty of that. Sometimes I just burn the candle at both ends and then wonder why I'm exhausted all the time.
Well, there you go. Covey would say that's a classic sign of a dull saw in the physical dimension.
Okay.
And here's what's really interesting. He doesn't just say that this makes you tired.
Right.
He argues that neglecting our physical well-being can actually impair our mental clarity,
Yeah.
our emotional resilience,
Really?
and even our sense of purpose.
Wait, are you telling me that skipping my morning workout could actually be messing with my decision-making abilities?
It's all connected.
And my mood.
Exactly. And it goes the other way, too.
Oh.
When we prioritize our physical health, we're not just boosting our energy levels. We're actually creating a foundation for greater mental focus, emotional balance, and even a stronger connection to our spiritual side.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
I never thought about it like that before. Okay, so we've covered the physical. What about the mental dimension? What does that involve?
So the mental dimension is all about keeping our minds sharp and engaged.
Okay.
Covey talks a lot about the importance of continuous learning, reading, taking courses, exploring new ideas, anything that challenges us intellectually.
Right.
And keeps that spark of curiosity alive.
So it's not just about work-related learning then. It's about, feeding your mind with things that genuinely interest you.
Absolutely. And this is something that I think a lot of people miss.
Yeah.
They think that, sharpening the saw has to be this serious endeavor.
Right.
But Covey would argue that even things like reading a novel or solving a crossword puzzle can actually contribute to our mental sharpness.
I can see how that would be helpful for things like problem solving and creativity.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got physical, we've got mental. What about the emotional social dimension? What does Covey say about that one?
All right, so this one focuses on our relationships and our ability to effectively manage our emotions.
Okay.
Covey really emphasizes things like empathy, active listening, and genuine connection with others.
So it's not just about being social, it's about the depth and quality of our interactions.
Exactly. It's about, seeking to understand other people's perspectives, offering genuine support, expressing appreciation, and even having those difficult conversations constructively.
Okay, that makes sense. Strong relationships definitely require effort and vulnerability. Okay, so that leaves us with the spiritual dimension. And honestly, this is the one where I always get a little fuzzy. What exactly does Covey mean by spiritual?
Yeah, this is the dimension that I think a lot of people struggle with the most because they tend to associate it with organized religion or specific belief systems.
Yeah.
But Covey actually defines it much more broadly.
Okay.
For him, the spiritual dimension is about connecting with a deeper sense of meaning and purpose. that goes beyond our day-to-day activities.
So it's about finding what gives you a sense of grounding and direction in life.
Precisely.
Okay.
And that can take many forms for different people. It could be through meditation, spending time in nature, reflecting on your values, or connecting with something greater than yourself. Whatever helps you tap into that sense of purpose and meaning.
This is all making so much sense, but can you give me like a real-world example of how neglecting one dimension might impact the others?
Sure. Let's imagine that you are constantly pushing yourself at work.
Okay.
You know, you're working long hours, you're not getting enough sleep, you're not really taking care of your physical health.
Right.
What's probably going to happen?
Well, you're going to get burnt out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And when you're burnt out, it becomes much harder to focus. It's harder to be present with your loved ones.
Yeah.
You know, you're mentally and emotionally drained. And this can lead to feelings of emptiness and a lack of purpose, you know, that spiritual disconnect.
Wow. That's a really powerful example. It really highlights how interconnected these dimensions really are.
And that's exactly Covey's point. These dimensions are not isolated compartments. They're all interwoven.
Right.
And when we neglect one, it inevitably impacts the others.
So if I'm understanding this correctly, sharpening the saw is not just about being more productive at work. It's about cultivating a life of balance and well-being.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that to be truly effective in any area of life,
Right.
we need to be attending to all four dimensions of ourselves.
This is giving me so much to think about already.
Yeah.
I have a feeling we're just scratching the surface here.
Oh, we've only just begun.
There's so much more to explore with this habit.
Yeah, in part 2, we're going to dive deeper into the incredible benefits of sharpening the saw and how it can transform your life both personally and professionally.
I can't wait. All right, so we're back and we're continuing our deep dive into Sharpen the Saw.
Yes.
And last time we were talking about the 4 dimensions of renewal.
Right. Physical, mental, emotional, social, and spiritual.
Exactly. And how neglecting any one of those can really impact the others.
It's true.
But this time I want to shift our focus to the benefits.
Okay.
Like, what are the actual, tangible benefits that we can expect to see when we actually make Sharpen the Saw a regular practice?
Well, one of the most noticeable benefits is just an increase in energy and vitality.
Okay.
You know, when you're taking care of yourself across all 4 dimensions,
Yeah.
your body and your mind, they just have the resources that they need to thrive.
It's true. It's like, if you think about like a plant that's been watered and given sunlight and all the nutrients it needs, it flourishes.
It flourishes.
It's the same with us.
Yeah, and I think it's funny how often we forget that our energy levels are directly tied to how well we're taking care of ourselves.
Yeah.
You know, we expect to feel energized without putting in the effort.
Totally.
But the great thing is, even small, consistent efforts in each dimension can make a huge difference.
Okay, so give me an example then.
We'll take sleep, for example. Covey talks about the power of simply getting enough sleep.
Right.
He argues that a well-rested mind is sharper, more focused,
Oh, yeah.
and better able to handle challenges.
I can definitely attest to that. When I am sleep deprived, it's like I'm operating at half capacity.
I know exactly what you mean.
It's like I can't focus. I get irritable and forget decision making. I don't even know what I'm doing.
Right, and it's not just about sleep.
Yeah.
Think about the impact of regular exercise.
Okay.
Covey points out that physical activity not only benefits our physical health, but it also releases endorphins,
Right.
improves mood, reduces stress.
So it's kind of like a chain reaction.
Yeah.
Where taking care of yourself in one dimension creates this positive momentum that spills over into the others.
Exactly.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
And you know what else I've noticed is that it also enhances my relationships and my ability to connect with others on a deeper level.
Absolutely. That's a huge benefit of sharpening the saw.
Yeah, like how does that work?
Yeah.
How does that actually, strengthen our social and emotional intelligence?
Well, when you take the time to renew yourself emotionally and socially, you're essentially building your capacity for empathy, compassion, and understanding.
Got it.
Covey talks about the importance of actively listening to others,
Right.
seeking to understand their perspectives, and offering support without judgment.
It's like that whole thing of a sharp saw versus a dull saw. When we're feeling depleted and we haven't taken time to sharpen ourselves.
Yeah.
It's so much harder to be patient and understanding and just present in our interactions with other people.
Exactly. It's like trying to have a meaningful conversation with someone when you're completely exhausted.
Yeah.
And your mind is racing. You're not really engaged.
Well,
And the connection suffers.
right.
But when you've taken the time to renew yourself, you can show up with more energy, focus, and genuine interest in the other person.
You know, I know for me, when I'm feeling really stressed and overwhelmed, it's hard to be a good friend,
Yeah.
a good partner, even just like a pleasant person to be around.
It's so common.
Yeah.
But the good news is, by prioritizing our own personal renewal,
Yeah.
we're not only taking care of ourselves, but we're also strengthening our ability to be there for the people who matter most to us.
So it's like a win-win situation.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've talked about physical, mental, and emotional, social benefits.
Right.
But what about the spiritual dimension?
Okay.
What impact does sharpening the saw have on our sense of purpose and meaning?
This is where things get really powerful.
Okay.
Covey argues that the spiritual dimension is the source of our deepest motivation and resilience.
Okay.
When we're connected to our values, we have a clear sense of direction and a sense of purpose that fuels our actions.
I can see how that would be really empowering.
Yeah.
Like aligning your actions with your deepest beliefs.
Exactly.
And living a life that feels authentic and meaningful.
And Covey has a great quote about this.
Oh, what is it?
He says, "The spiritual dimension is your core, your center, your commitment to your highest priorities."
That's a good one.
Yeah, it's a powerful reminder that our values are the compass that guide our decisions and help us stay true to ourselves.
And you know what? When we're actually living in alignment with our values, that's when we experience that sense of inner peace and fulfillment.
Exactly.
Regardless of what's going on around us. So it's not about achieving a specific outcome, but about cultivating like a way of being in the world that aligns with our deepest sense of self.
You got it.
And that brings me to another point, which is resilience.
Okay.
You know, when we're taking care of ourselves across all four dimensions, we're just better equipped to handle challenges.
Yes.
And to bounce back from setbacks.
It's like if you're already running on empty,
Right.
even a small obstacle can feel overwhelming.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But when you have a full tank, so to speak,
Yeah.
you just have the energy and the reserves to navigate those bumps in the road.
Absolutely. And Covey would argue that this resilience extends beyond just individual challenges.
Okay.
He believed that sharpening the saw makes us more effective in all areas of life.
So not just personal gain, but also like empowering ourselves to make a positive impact on the world around us.
Precisely.
So it's bigger than just us.
It is by investing in ourselves.
Yeah.
We're actually investing in our capacity to contribute to something larger.
This is so inspiring. I'm starting to see Sharpen the Saw as more than just a habit. It's like a philosophy for living a more fulfilling and impactful life.
And the best part is these benefits are available to everyone.
Right.
It's not about having special skills or resources. It's just about making that conscious choice to prioritize our own well-being.
It's a reminder that we have the power to shape our own lives.
Yes.
And create the conditions for happiness and success.
You got it. And as you begin to experience those positive effects, you'll naturally want to continue investing in yourself.
Okay.
And it creates this virtuous cycle of growth and renewal.
I'm already feeling inspired to take a closer look at my own saw and see which areas could use some sharpening.
That's great.
But before we get to that, we still have more to explore, right?
Oh, yeah. In part 3, we'll discuss practical tips and strategies for incorporating Sharpen the Saw into your daily life.
All right, so we're back for the final part of our deep dive into Sharpen the Saw.
Yes, we are.
We've really covered a lot of ground.
We have the what, the why, the benefits.
Exactly. And now I'm really excited to get to the how.
Yes, the practical stuff.
Yeah, how can we actually make this a part of our lives?
Right. Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is.
And I think it's where a lot of people get stuck.
Yeah.
They understand the concept, they love the idea, but then they're like, okay, but how do I actually do this?
Right. It can feel overwhelming.
It can, but the good news is it doesn't have to be.
Okay.
Remember, Covey talks about consistency over intensity.
Right.
So small, sustainable changes over time, those are the key.
I like that. Small steps, big results.
Exactly.
So where do we begin? Let's start with the physical dimension.
Okay, good place to start.
Because that one feels the most tangible to me.
It does. It's very concrete.
Yeah. So what are some things that we can do?
Well, think about simple things you can incorporate into your daily routine.
Okay.
Like a brisk walk during your lunch break.
Okay.
Taking the stairs instead of the elevator. Even just standing up and stretching every hour if you have a desk job.
Right. We don't have to train for a marathon.
No, not at all.
Just little things.
Little things add up.
Make a difference.
And remember, consistency is key.
Yes.
Covey suggests finding activities you actually enjoy.
Right.
Because if you enjoy it, you're more likely to stick with it.
Makes sense.
So maybe it's dancing, gardening, hiking, whatever gets you moving and makes you happy.
I love that. It shouldn't feel like a chore. Okay, what about the mental dimension? Any tips for keeping our minds sharp?
Well, one of the most effective ways, I think, is to just cultivate a curiosity for learning.
Okay.
Make it a habit to read books or articles that intrigue you. Listen to podcasts that expand your knowledge. Engage in those stimulating conversations that really challenge your thinking.
That makes me think about something that Covey said.
What's that?
About synergistic communication.
Yes.
Where the interaction itself creates these new insights.
It's powerful.
Yeah, it's not just about passively absorbing information. Yeah. It's about actively engaging with ideas.
And different perspectives.
Yes, exactly. So it's about being open to new information and being willing to learn from others.
Yeah.
Even if we don't always agree with them.
Exactly. And recognizing that learning is a lifelong journey.
It is.
There's always something new to discover.
Love that. Okay, let's move on to the emotional social dimension.
Okay.
How can we sharpen the saw in this area?
A lot of it comes down to just small but meaningful gestures. Making a conscious effort to really connect with loved ones regularly.
Okay.
Call a friend, schedule a video chat with family.
Right.
Even just send a heartfelt text message.
Yeah, just stay connected.
Stay connected.
What about for our existing relationships?
Well, Covey really emphasizes empathy and understanding.
Okay.
So practice active listening.
Right.
Really focusing on what the other person is saying without interrupting or just formulating your response. Ask clarifying questions, reflect back what you're hearing,
right,
and validate their feelings.
Oh, it's so easy to get caught up in our own thoughts and our own agendas.
It is.
But really taking the time to listen
makes all the difference.
It really does.
And don't underestimate the power of expressing appreciation.
Oh, yeah.
Tell people you care about how much they mean to you.
Right.
A simple thank you, a genuine compliment.
Yes.
Can go a long way in strengthening those bonds.
Okay, that's great advice for nurturing our existing relationships.
Yeah.
But what about for making new connections?
New connections.
Yeah, any advice for people who might be feeling a little isolated?
Well, I would say don't be afraid to step outside of your comfort zone.
Good.
Join a club or a group related to something you're passionate about.
Okay.
Volunteer for a cause that you believe in, or even just strike up a conversation with someone you encounter in your daily life.
Yeah, you never know.
You never know.
All right, and finally, the spiritual dimension.
Okay.
What are some practical ways that we can tap into that deeper sense of meaning and purpose?
Well, things like meditation, mindfulness, spending time in nature.
Yeah.
Those can be really helpful. They
Right.
quiet the mind, help us connect with the present moment, and reflect on what truly matters.
Okay, that makes sense. What about for people who maybe don't resonate with those types of activities?
There are other ways. It could be as simple as taking a few moments each day to just reflect on what you're grateful for.
Right.
Reading inspiring literature.
Right.
Or engaging in creative pursuits that bring you joy.
So it's really about finding what works for you.
It is. It's a personal journey.
Yeah.
There's no one-size-fits-all approach.
This has been such an amazing deep dive.
It has.
I feel like I have a much deeper understanding of Sharpen the Saw now.
That's great.
And a renewed commitment to really investing in myself.
Love that.
Across all four dimensions.
Yeah. And remember, it's an ongoing journey.
It is.
There will be times when you feel more balanced and energized than others.
Right.
But the key is just to keep showing up for yourself, even in small ways, and trust that the process of renewal will unfold.
As we wrap up here, I want to leave our listeners with a question to think about.
Okay.
Which area of your life could benefit most from sharpening right now?
That's a good one.
And what's one small step you can take today to begin that process?
Keep that in mind as you go forward.
Yes, even the smallest actions can create a ripple effect.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Stephen Covey's wisdom.
It's been a pleasure.
Until next time, keep those saws sharp.